Hello everyone, hope everybody's doing well today. A little bit of truck talk. Wanted to talk about a couple of news stories that I saw and give some opinion on them, and would like to hear yours, so feel free to comment down below. Would like to hear your thoughts. So the first one comes from Zero Hedge, and it's Pepsi announced that today actually that they are cutting some prices as much as 15% due to their recognition that the economy is squeezing the average person out there, like me and you. So there's a picture, shows a bunch of Doritos, and here's my thoughts. That I'm all for capitalism. Companies should be able to make whatever amount of money that they can make. If I owned a company, I should feel free to do what I want. You should be able to go out there and get what's yours and get what you deserve. But the fact that Pepsi is cutting prices on many items as much as 15% tells me that possibly they could have done this sooner, or maybe not have risen the prices to the level that they had. I looked through the article. I did not see anything about shrinkflation. So where maybe they took a supersized Dorito bag that was, 6 ounces, and they dropped it down to 5.75 or 5.5 and left the price the same, or rose it back then, and now they're going to drop the price down but not add any to the bag. So, I do believe that inflation is real. Our dollars have less buying power. They're worth less than before. I think that's a large reason why silver and gold has skyrocketed over the past months. But I also believe that there is definitely some gouging or some greediness that's going on. And these companies will continue to play with prices and see what the reaction from consumers are, because at the end of the day, they're really only worried about numbers and profit. And again, I'm a capitalist. I believe, companies need to make money. The more money they make, they reinvest, they'll grow, they'll hire more people, they'll expand, all that stuff. But I do believe that there's been a lot of nefarious actions going on. I happen to be aware of a situation here in Maine where there was a farm that was selling eggs over the last couple of years to a major grocery chain up here, and they never raised their prices. They sold the eggs to the grocery store chain at the same price when the grocery store chain was selling it for $2 a dozen, and then the grocery store chain raised their price up to over $5 a dozen. They were still paying the same. And that's what I'm talking about. I believe that has happened a lot. And yeah, not good. Not good for the consumer. The other story that I saw, I've heard about this on a couple other channels. I often talk about the political environment, the division in America, the evil that's going on out there. And this story comes out of Georgia, and there's a candidate for Congress that is calling for a 4-year social media ban on MAGA voters. So anybody that has supported Trump, now I think this is a bit ridiculous because it's not going to happen. There's not a whole lot that surprises me anymore, but what it would take to actually make this happen would be, I think, something that's just, it's not going to happen. But the bottom line is, these folks these people that push this type of narrative, they're evil. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in the First Amendment. They don't believe in any of the amendments. And to suggest such a thing is absolutely ridiculous. The candidate, Susanna Karatosis, a candidate for the Georgia House District 120, is blowing up after she suggested a mandatory 4-year social media ban for people who voted for Donald Trump. Absolutely insane, and goes completely against what the founders established here, what the Constitution stands for, and what America should stand for. It's really BS. Hopefully she won't get elected, but I tell you what, nothing would surprise me. Nothing. Because there are a lot of people, especially in big cities, they gobble that up. They love it. They love the sounds of it. So comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. I mean, I'm hearing so much extreme stuff coming out now. I heard of another, I don't know if he's in Congress now. I wish I'd have thought about this before this video. If you've heard about this, comment below, put a link or something for everybody. But there was either a candidate for Congress or somebody that's in Congress now, I believe it's a candidate for Congress, that said that they wanted to use capital punishment against Donald Trump after he's out of office. Regardless of what side of the aisle or aisles that you're on, suggesting such a thing doesn't surprise me, but again, absolutely evil. Absolutely evil. Just the insanity and this rhetoric that continues to come out, violent rhetoric that pushes these narratives of civil disobedience, civil unrest. These so-called protests that are largely riots, rioting, it seems to be never-ending, and I think it's going to get a lot worse. So 2026 is we just got into the second month. We're 1/12 of the way through the year, and it is not looking good at all. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the massive storm that came through the country. A lot of folks out there saying that they believe this is weather manipulation, and I don't know. It very well might be. To have parts of Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina receive the amount of snow, it's certainly uncommon, but it has happened before. But the sheer magnitude and size of this storm, again, you think back with some of these other storms that have come through Texas and up through North Carolina, that's just absolutely been devastated and very uncommon, unusual. And it just seems to be getting worse. I'm not a big believer in climate change and that man has affected weather, unless weather manipulation is truly a thing, and it very well might be. But it's obvious the weather and the climate is changing. The exact cause, I think for us really doesn't matter, because it's happening, and there's really not much we can do about it. That's my take on it. But this snow down south really goes to show how many people are just not prepared. The panic that set in with so many people. If you are preparedness minded and you take basic steps to prepare for even a short duration situation, and I'm talking a couple of weeks, a snowstorm should be able to come through, and it's not a problem. It's not a problem. But the generator sales, sales on food, and just the sheer panic that occurred throughout these areas really goes to show, if something really bad happened that was long lasting, it would be absolutely catastrophic, and society would absolutely crumble and morph into something that we could not recognize. And that's something that we need to prepare for. Everybody needs to prepare. You need to get your beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, stock up on your essentials, and stack it deep. The world continues to get crazier and crazier, and I was talking about 2026 a little while ago, and again, these things that I was just talking about, and we're only just a little bit in the 2026, and there's a lot of people, a lot of smart people out there that are not glamorizing a lot of issues. They use a lot of common sense, and we're just looking at the writing on the wall, and I expect to see a lot more of the same, and for it to get worse. I've used the analogy before that things seem to be getting more extreme. They seem to be getting more volatile, more uncertain. And they're doing this faster and faster. So again, it's kind of like rolling a snowball down the hill. And as it goes down the hill, not only is it picking up speed, but it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what it seems like society and the world as a whole. It's rolling down that hill. It's getting worse and worse faster. And I'm very concerned for this country and this world, what's going to happen by the end of 2026. No panic. Simple preparations. Common sense preparations, just to make sure that if something, throws us off the rails more than they already are, just be prepared. So, yeah, I think that's it. I appreciate you stopping by. Again, I was talking about this Pepsi reducing some prices as much as 15%. Of course, they're spinning it because they've heard their customer, and they care about their customer. And this Georgia congressional candidate calls for a 4-year ban for anybody that is on the conservative side. Crazy. And the snowstorm really highlighting to people just how unprepared they are. And hopefully that wakes some folks up. But time will tell. So, again, I appreciate you stopping by. Hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't. And you guys stay safe. We'll see you next time.